In this video, I wanted to give you an overview of geometric series and how to calculate them. You'll find a copy of these problems in a link in the description. The first thing you need to know is that we have formulas for this, okay? So I've put them here in the orange box. I got these off of the standardized testing formula sheet. This is what it looks like. You're going to notice a few things. The S just means series, okay? The N is the number of terms in a finite series. So we're going to use the top formula. The bottom one has an infinity. We use that one for infinite series. So when we look at the three things we're given the three things that we need to do to plug into that first formula. And I went ahead and did that for us, just like that. So you'll notice that A1, so it told us A1 is -2, so I put that in there. I use parentheses when I substitute values in. And then it says in parentheses 1 minus R. R is -6, so I put that in with parentheses. And then it says to the nth power, raised to the n. So I put 8 because it told me n equals 8. On the bottom, I put 1 minus -6. So all I'm doing is I'm plugging in the three values that it gave me. And it tells me this is a finite series. I use the finite formula, and it went ahead and gave me the answer. The next one says, given the first few terms and the total number of terms, evaluate the finite series. Now, I'm only doing the odds here because I want to give you a chance to do some more practice with the evens, but let me show you on this one. What's different about this one and the last one is instead of saying what the A1 was and telling us what the R was, it still tells us the N, but it just gives us the first few terms of a series. Now, a series is just a list of numbers that is added together. So we have 1 and then -3 and then 9 and then -27. You see there's a pattern. We are starting with A1. A1 means what are we starting with? We're starting with 1. We also are multiplying by something each time. So from 1 to -3 to +9 to -27 and so forth, what we're doing is we're multiplying by -3. And that's how we identify our A1 and our R. They already gave us the N, so we can go ahead and plug it into our formula. This one ends up being 19/4, or as a decimal is fine. Try number 4 on your own. Notice what we start with, that A1, and think about what we're multiplying by to get each number. In other words, what is the pattern? On this one, it says, given the first few terms, we're going to evaluate the infinite series, okay? So this one is just like the last one, except it doesn't tell us to stop. It says do this forever. There's no n equals. So I want you to look down at the S infinity formula down there, and you'll notice that it's actually a simpler formula because there's no n. It goes on forever. So we just have A1 on top and then 1 minus R. So remember, we have to identify what our A1 is. That's going to be the first term in the series. And then what we need to do is we need to figure out what are we multiplying by. And in this case, we're multiplying by, well, it's going positive, negative, so I know we're multiplying by a negative. And we took -4 and turned it into 16/5. So that means we multiplied by 4 on the top, -4, and then 5 on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and put in for my A1, -4, the first term, and for my R, -4/5, because that's what I have to multiply by to get each of the numbers in that series. Looking at number 7, it's a little bit simpler just because we don't have fractions, but you'll see the same process. We look for A1, which we get is 3. The first one in the sequence, in the series, is 3. And then what are we multiplying by each time? And obviously 3, 6, 12, 24, we're multiplying by 2. And so you can see this one ends up being pretty simple because it's infinite, so we don't have to stop at n. It's a little bit simpler, and it's all whole numbers. All right, this last section says, given the first term, the common ratio, and the total number of terms, evaluate the infinite series. Now that's a bit of a trick there, is because it tells us the first term, A1, it tells us R, but it doesn't actually tell us the total number of terms. Well, why not? Because it says they're infinite series, which means we're going to use the infinite formula. Pretty easy. We're going to put A1 on top and 1 minus R on the bottom. So you can see for number 9, A1 is 1/4, so that goes on the top. And on the bottom, I did 1 minus 1/3. I let my calculator do my simplification for me there, but you could easily combine those and do that out, and you'd end up with 3/8. The number 11, I'm doing the odds. I want to give you a chance to do the even. So looking at number 11, we have A1 is that mess and R is that mess. Well, it doesn't scare me because I'm just going to plug it in and I'm going to simplify it. Again, I'm letting my calculator do all the work. I'm using Desmos.com to do my calculations because fractions can be somewhat intimidating. And I wanted to focus today just on what's important in this section, which is how do we use these formulas. I hope that's helpful. Try the other questions because I only did half of them. Check the link in the description to try the other half, okay? Let me know how it goes. Thank you. Like and subscribe.